It is time to experience a different radio station in digital broadcasting WKIT. Pyramid One World Radio Network with broadcaster Bob Charles. Our programming is based on truth, faith, and love. We have studios in Florida, Texas, and Australia. So let's begin into subjects that change our perceptions about the world around you and I.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Pyramid One World Radio Network with Bob Charles and Jamie Clark. Now sit down and get ready to be one with the universe in this show. Bob Charles says we can be spiritual beings in all dimensions at the same time. Your host, Jamie Clark, an award-winning psychic and medium, agrees and teaches us that we are all dimension beings, but let Jamie explain this better. Jamie Clark's belief that we can be spiritual beings in all dimensions simultaneously touches on concepts found in metaphysical and spiritual traditions. This idea suggests that our existence transcends physical dimensions, implying that our consciousness or spirit can exist and interact across multiple dimensions or planes of reality at the same time. This perspective is often associated with spiritual experiences, higher consciousness, and the notion of a multidimensional universe where different aspects of our being can operate beyond the limitations of our physical world. The concept of dimensions and time is a subject of much debate and speculation, particularly in the realms of physics and metaphysics. In theoretical physics, the idea of multiple dimensions beyond the familiar three spatial ones is explored in theories like string theory, which suggests there could be up to 11 dimensions. Unconditional love brings in universal dimensions and is a part of our soul's journey. The feeling of love is often seen as a profound and transformative experience that transcends the physical realm. Many believe it connects us to a greater, universal dimension, enriching our souls and guiding our journey through life. Love can be a powerful force for growth, healing, and spiritual enlightenment. Regarding the nature of time, some interpretations of quantum mechanics and relativity suggest that all moments in time might exist simultaneously, a view that aligns with the block universe theory. This theory posits that past, present, and future are equally real, and time is just another dimension similar to space. However, this is still a topic of ongoing scientific exploration and philosophical debate.
I love the sound of that at the beginning of the show. They didn't throw in enough guitar, so I had to add some.
I was just gonna say that. Are you playing some of that or what? That's beautiful.
What?
The music, the guitar.
Oh,
that's what I was like, man, that's awesome.
I'm telling you, right behind me that I got a 4x12. It's the same thing. It's the same size as a Marshall, only just a tiny bit bigger and a little more powerful.
Beautiful.
And it's like you can play that thing, believe it or not. And anybody that's listening right now that knows anybody that plays in the band, I mean, I did my whole life, so that's the way that goes. But you can play these big amplifiers big enough, or should I say loud enough, that you barely hear it, but it sounds just like that.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
You know, and I mean, but then again, if I turned it on, say 5, I'd probably break this window.
So you know the modalities and the levels of what you can work with. Anything beyond that at the moment may not be the most productive. So what do you not do? You don't cross that line.
Oh, baby. I really from that promo and everything, there are so many things that people don't understand about their lives, period. I mean, it's funny. I mean, really, coming from me, I mean, people write me and they say, but you're wrong. And I said, well, all right, so tell me what's right. Well, they can't. they, they can't get any more any better than what I had already said. You know, I mean, we are all here. Look, let's face it. When you get here, which you would have had to have an NDE to actually realize this and come back and talk about it. But you're sent here with a mission. You're sent here with an idea. This is going to you're gonna do this. It's a very very blatant kind of thing. I mean, I was sent back to do something. I don't know if I've done it yet, but
isn't that interesting though? If I can, you bring up a very interesting point, and I call it a near life experience because to me there is no death. But in this case, that kind of a connection, there'll be people who will have an NDE, a near death experience, and they'll have a loved one that's standing there that hugs them, and whatever the case is, and then is like, it's not your time, and they come back. My thing is, well, don't you find that interesting that someone else knows your time frame of existence with that particular circumstance? Again, just no one thinks about
but
it.
if you happen to bounce around my dad somewhere in his RAM or whatever,
It's like here.
that's the idea I got.
Yes.
It's like you're important there. Boof.
But
And
see, it's those
wait a minute,
dimensions.
one second. All these people that say they see tunnels, they see lights, they see this, they see that. Mine was like light snap. It wasn't no trip. You know what I mean? I didn't get a tick on a subway. It was like, it was like bam, you're somewhere else.
And that efficient, that quick.
Yeah.
Isn't it? Like I didn't even do anything. I was just sitting here. But shift your consciousness.
Well, I wasn't exactly sitting there, but that's all right.
In your own way, you got to experience it firsthand. To go, now you have no choice but to go, I may not understand that, but I just experienced it. What if those dimensions, because not everyone understands what a dimension is. And to me, it's just a level of consciousness, an energy experience of vibrational patterns of energy. Because I always say, to me, each dimension has its own vibratory rate and seems just as solid as this one. And oh yeah, nothing's solid. It's all light, energy, frequencies, and vibrations. You just learn to read it. And in this, I kind of equate, just to keep it very easy, that other dimension is, tell me in a dream state that you've never had a dream that just kind of felt real, that felt tactile senses. I could feel this or touch it. That's a dimension. It's just as solid as this one is. That's why I always say, for me, there is no death, because as we perceive death as you die in this dimension and then you go to the other side after this. And my thing is, I always share one, everything's spiritual. Two, life is relative, because we as humans are extraterrestrials to everyone else. And I always say, aren't we right now living on the other side where we come from before here? And that mean we must have died? Or could it just be a shift in consciousness and vibrational patterns of energy?
Yeah, but aren't people that you talk to? And I mean, it is that I talk to, but of course I'm not talking to people on a level you are. But I tell them that your body, when you die, you can throw the body out. It's a vessel.
Vehicle. Yep.
All we're doing is renting space in that body. And they look at me like I'm completely, totally out of my mind, which who knows, I might be.
I think all of us are a little bit like that, yeah.
Yeah, well, not going that far. But the idea of the thing is, when you get to the point in your life, and I'm not saying age, because I mean, I know some 20, 30-year-old people that realize what I do. So, I mean, the age is nothing. But the idea of the thing is, when you realize what I do and that you do, that this is not the end. Death is not the end. Birth is only a new beginning. It's not the beginning.
Just the next phase of walking through that door of consciousness.
Exactly. When I say that, they go, no, that's the beginning. I said, no. I said, there's a goth somewhere, and that goth has souls in it, and those souls get a chance to be somewhere, to do something, to be angels in some cases, to some people, whatever they decide. And they are also meant to help. Now, it doesn't always mean that you're going to come down here as a mob boss and go, hey, listen, Junior, next time when you go out, rub that guy out. This is not the way we came down in the very, very beginning. That's not the way we did it. When we came down, we were neutral, totally pure, totally unsinned, if you want to put it that way. And our life and the way our life proceeds in front of us is the way we end up. We either accept or we don't accept. If you want to accept to be an idiot, fine, you're an idiot. It's like,
what if you want to accept another reality?
You can.
Yes. See, then it moves from the airy fairy to go, yeah, your thoughts creative here, to go, oh, the practicality of spirituality. When you can do the best you can, 1, question everything, 2, be practical, 3, get some insight in a way that, I hadn't necessarily seen it like that before. If I can share real quick, I had in this case, a lovely person who was channeling another being, and this stuff is real. But in this, I was talking with this person who was on the other side as we perceive it. And I said, so how are things where you're at? Is there physical dynamic? And he's like, yeah, yes, there is. Just like here, you're coming from an experience, in this case, as a human at this time, on a physical experience on a planet. You really think you're going to transition into something that you can't feel anything? What if it's all about love and comfort? What about that love and comfort of the oneness, because it's all one to me? It allows everything to be good, bad, happy, sad, and then we begin to get, it's a perspective. What feels good is in harmony. That which doesn't, isn't. Very simple. And when we can realize that, so maybe there could be a difference than what I've been seeing or hearing or feeling for all these years, because people are into that linear time, the morning, noon, and night, and breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and all that kind of good stuff, which is great. But for me, I always say there's only the eternal moment. There's only the eternal now. Because kind of like the internet web, like we're on now, we're also on the universal web, whether you're aware of it or not. And I share the fact that when I do some public presentations, I have clients around the world, and some will tune in from Australia, which is about 17 hours in the future or ahead of us as we perceive it. And then sometimes from the Hawaiian Islands, which on average can be a couple of hours behind us, or as we perceive it, our past. Yet, through that web, the past, present, and future are connecting now.
Are together in the same place at the same time.
Yes, exactly. And when we can realize you're not kind of getting no room to expand, it's what if it's all the oneness, and allows you as much as you can to find who you are. Because that tunnel of light, I had the experience for me, there's been one time and like another half a time recently, but when I found I was just sitting, I wasn't meditating, nothing. I was just sitting there, and that quick, I found myself in blackness, the abyss. I mean, there was no stars, no nothing. It was completely, yeah, it was freaking weird. And I started getting a little uneasy because I kind of felt like I was in the freaking ocean going, I don't know if something's right here or a gazillion miles away and how big it is or any of that. And that uncertainty was getting fearful. And then for some reason, off to my left-hand side, not my right, but my left, as I was perceiving my viewpoint, opens this portal or this circular energy, and out floods a golden light. There were 3 beings standing in this area here. And I'm like, that must be the light, the tunnel of light that people see when they're graduating life.
Bingo.
Yeah, it became a different way of experiencing it because it was now firsthand. I had no choice but to go. I don't even know where the frick that would be, but there was nothing at all. And it's that kind when we can always be practical and question everything, but get some kind of an information, answer, insight. Then, okay, maybe I'm kind of seeing that a little bit differently. Because, again, not better or worse, but different. And sometimes from that different vantage point, it's like, I've heard that crap 1,000 times, but click. That's the first time I kind of see it that way. And my thing is, this is good. Question everything and let me know how it goes. And they usually attain it. And my thing is you're the magic. I'm just the information. I'm just the quantum roadside of potential. If you take this direction, here's most likely the outcome. Take this direction, here's most likely the outcome. And we are always complete beings. We're not incomplete. I share the fact, if I may, that every time I unify with the oneness, because I do it a lot, every time I unify with the oneness, it is like the best mood you've ever been in, the best meal you have ever had. Truly, my soul feels full and complete. I don't have all of the regrets that humans have to make life choices, and we got to learn to live with it one way or another. And I share the fact that after many years, I asked Chi, my master guide, I'm like, Chi, how is it that when I merge with the oneness, I feel so complete that I don't have all of these regrets? And he's very patient. And he's like, well, Jamie, you know, quantum level, exactly. All experiences are happening now. All potential outcomes are happening now. Your soul print of consciousness is connected to each and every one of those alternate realities and potential outcomes. And just because you're not aware of it does not mean it's not being registered into your Solidex or Akashic records, whatever you want to call it, it's just a label, as an eternal soul print of consciousness. And I'm like, God, that makes more sense, because for me, good, bad, happy, sad is an eternal being. Huh? What? Love? And it's that kind of connection when we can be practical, when we can question it and do maybe some scientific methodology, systematized, categorized, repeated, you know, maybe there's something to this stuff there.
Maybe.
That's,
No.
yes.
When you were saying that, if you noticed in the promo, I added love, because, and the only reason I added love was there's two kinds of love, and people don't know that.
And what if there's even more?
Well, there's love like, I love this cup, I love what's in it, I love this screen, I love my name, I love my dog. But when you say I love my dog, that's unconditional love. It's a different wavelength.
Oh, so we have our rules and regs that if you see it a certain way, then it is that way.
Right. Exactly. Well, we are our brains bring us to that level that it's love because it's a word and it's related to that object or whatever we're doing at that time. Like, I love running down the street. I love riding my motorcycle. I love flying.
How we get the different aspects. I love my country. I
Right.
love my wife. It's again, there is such a versatility of the levels and kinds, just for me, the kinds of love to go. It's all about love, and it's not the airy fairy going, oh, it's weakness. It's all about love. It's I have no choice but to accept the fact that love is a permeating energy. I share the fact, if I may, that I always say that there's been something said for many years by one of them, they're spiritual people. And he's always said there's but one constant in the universe, and that is change. And I share the fact that Chi, Master Guy, was like, well, Jimmy, he's playful, but also insightful. And he's like, well, there could be a few other constants besides certainly change, which is, of course, a constant. But I believe that energy can neither be created nor destroyed. So that's a constant. Love is a constant. This is a conscious universe, so consciousness is constant. Your soul's evolution is constant. And there are natural laws that exist in this universe that are constant. And I'm like, holy crap, that went from one that I always used to accept as my reality, which is fine, it's whatever you accept.
Yeah, cool.
There's only one constant, and that's change, which made sense until he pointed it out to go, yeah, but the scientific methodology, that quantum physics and spirituality is now becoming spiritual physics, unification, not separation. And when we can be practical, when we can do the scientific methodology, if that's what we're open for, and then put the practicality of spirituality to go, this is testing this and systematize that, and here's the end result of what we're getting through those modalities. Because that's why I love doing all of these scientific studies that I do with Gary and Rhonda Schwartz at the University of Arizona in Tucson. And it's going to move from the airy-fairy of, oh, spiritual beings and angels and stuff to go, that stuff is very real.
Mm-hmm.
You get enough of that solid validation. Hey, here's something, I don't know nothing for nobody. Here's something to think about, just
like the what I had said with the unconditional love. The unconditional love only works for cellular units like us, like anything that's a cellular unit. It has to be a breathing, blood pumping, heart pumping, brain working unit. Don't matter what it is. Could be a mouse. Could be a guinea pig. It doesn't matter. It's a cellular operating unit. That unconditional love is something that's transmitted, received, and retransmitted. It
And
goes
what exactly
from,
is unconditional love? What is the definition?
well, what I said to one person to make it easy on them, I said, it's your feeling. I didn't turn around and say it's a frequency that your brain, produces through your pituitary gland. Well, I forget about that stuff. I left that out of it. But the idea of the thing was, it was the feeling that you have for another person. It's genuine. It's in you. It's part of you. It's part of your feeling. It's part of your soul. It's part of your cells, your gene, whatever.
More.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. It's that part is the unconditional love, as opposed to love being, I love my computer, my car, my motorcycle, whatever. It's a whole different ballgame. One is your feeling toward yourself to like something else, and the other one is for your love for something else, someone who loves back.
And one that loves, because some people like unconditional love. I don't know what that's like. What is that? I'm like, well, have you ever seen a newborn baby? Have you ever seen it? And they're like, oh, because you're more than likely not doing this to the baby when it's first born. You should be running. It's like, really? What do you allow it to be? Bringing itself into the life experience in this case, because it's all one. And that love, the unconditional love, it's unconditional. Those children, those animals just have to be them, which what happens? It allows us to just be us. Because one of the contributing factors of our beautiful fur babies, our animals, is the reason why we love them so much is they love us exactly for who we are. Not only that, what if it's also the unspoken word of love, which is the touch of these beautiful beings?
Yes, the touch, because the touch is a transfer of energy through the body, one body touching another body.
And what's the conduit of connection? Your soul product, the energy.
Oh yeah, soul connection.
Yes.
And it's where, like, if, oh boy, am I gonna go out on a limb for this one? If there was if there was absolutely nobody, this body, like right here, if there was none of this anymore, the sensation or the actual love would be no different. So that's the part that was really hard teaching anybody.
But when you can have that experience firsthand.
Yeah. Well, they don't get it. I mean, out of all the things that you and I and maybe Diane, maybe even the dog. Well, the dog just bit me. But
on the right hand,
I tell you, the blood was like, look out. I mean, it was one of those things. But I got plenty of blood in my body, so I had, it didn't matter. It was all over the sink.
Look at your reaction. You're like, oh, I got plenty. Instead of I don't have anything, you could react with fear or empowerment and self-assuredness.
Yeah, well, that's what happens when you put your hand in between the ball and the mouth.
But you had a dynamic to go, well, if I do that, more than likely, there may not be the most productive energy. So what happened? You validated your very self and the very thing you just said. Go, maybe I shouldn't put my hand between those two because it was trying to get to that, but it got to my hand first because it was in front of it. Most of us realize we put ourselves in front rather than just being who we are.
That's what you call not thinking about what you're doing before you do it.
And look at the reaction that can come from it.
Oh, yeah.
It's a great thing, but
yeah. He's a small dog, but I'm telling you, man, this guy can go through. Woof.
Got that strength. Yes.
Razor teeth.
And notice for the animals, usually it doesn't matter their size, whether they're big or small. They got their own personality. They have their own dynamic of interactions.
Oh yeah. Yes. Oh, yeah. All the time, and he's got his patterns too. Just like or I'll put it this way: there's a couple of women that work in our place. I tell you, I could close my eyes and listen to what they're doing in the place and tell you who's doing it.
Now, why? How do you know that?
Huh?
How do you know that?
It's because your brain records, and when you record, you know a person because you're interwoven, so more or less woven in between, with these people, like, and on an all day kind of basis. So this person Like if this person was behind you and you didn't see that person, but the person opened their mouth for some reason, you'd know who it was right away. It doesn't matter. You could disguise the person. You know the voice. It's like a voice print. Your voice print, your body print, your what you do, right? Your soul print. And I mean, I don't know if I'm too much into the soul print, but I mean, I get the rest pretty good. I'm serious. I mean, it was like sounds. And the one guy that's over there, his name is Aaron, just in case he's listening. But that guy, he turned around to me. He says, "You are crazy." I was like,
And
I was because I told him who was doing something in the back. We couldn't see. That was in another room and everything else. And I heard the thing, and I said, "I got, if she wait a minute, let me go to the back of that and show her how to do that before she kills herself." Sometimes they open up cans in there or something like that, and when you slam the thing down there to do the can, if you get it the first time, you don't have to do it the second time, but the third time, but the fourth time. So when I heard it like 2 or 3 times, again, I had recorded the first time I heard it. So therefore, when I hear it later, the same thing that people do when they love someone. You know how a person is. You know what a person likes, dislikes, would like, and wants to give you. You don't have to expect any kind of an interact with anyone. As long as you are the one that's giving, they will give back. It's
why?
automatic. It's automatic.
Choose to, because you can, yes.
It's automatic. I say this to people all the time that argue with each other. If you argue with that person, or you throw put it this way, you throw a snowball at somebody, you think they're going to throw it back? Of course they will. If you tell say Russia, hey, you guys, what's the matter with you? What you doing over there? The guy will throw a Russian something at you, whatever. I mean, this is a war start. People don't know how to keep it in their pants and say,
Yeah.
hey, listen, let's sit down, let's have coffee, let's talk about this. Instead of saying something like that, they say it in a way that I wouldn't believe them if they said it to me. You know what I mean? You got to go up to a guy, nose to nose, say, look, you think I'm a schmuck. You're a schmuck. You think you're a schmuck. I'm a schmuck. Okay, let's talk about schmucks.
But that
sit down.
oneness.
But they'll do it. They will do it all the time. How do you think Trump gets all, his deals?
And notice it's allowed to happen. Isn't that weird?
Yeah, but he sits people down and he says, look, this crap's got to stop. It's the same thing with your life. When you see yourself going in the wrong direction, you feel yourself going in the wrong direction, you have to internally say to yourself, this has to stop. And it will. Don't know why.
Your intent first, your realization whether you want that pattern to continue or not. The reaction. And that's what sometimes people don't realize is sometimes they perceive that they're manipulating others to what they're looking for. And my thing is what if there's a different way of seeing it? What if it's, for me, I would say I create a future memory. I already accept things as already attained before I even get there with the knowingness, not hope and believe, the knowingness and gratitude that I've already received it. Because it's that connection, just for me, my way of dealing with it is in this connection, it's about getting different understandings of things too, that maybe we were seeing it one way for most of our life, that maybe there could be a different way. Because on average, I share the fact that for me, if we're doing the mediumship, people tend to think that their loved ones are energy and they're just, floating around. And my thing is, well, aren't we right now on the other side of where we come from before here? And that means it must be solid too. It's an interaction, the unification of oneness. Because, it moves from that, that I shared the fact that fairly recently, a couple of months, I was just sitting there. I wasn't meditating, nothing. Just sitting there. And I still don't know how it's possible, but that quickly, I became everybody I ever interacted with. I felt every single energy exchange coming back to me with the words, how'd you treat yourself? I'm like, oh my God, that stuff's real. Holy crap. And in doing that, to realize it's all one, what you do unto others, you're doing unto yourself is actually a very real dynamic. What if we're just reflections of consciousness in other ways of seeing things? Because there's as many worlds as there are perceivers. Nobody sees the same, yet each just as real and just as valid. And so in this case, when they can have some kind of information, is that what it is? Information thing? I'm like, yeah, whatever you want to call it. That information, when they can make those connections, and in this case with the mediumship, my thing is, well, there's almost 8 billion people. Not everyone has the same personality and characteristics. At least to me, they don't. And so when you can be accurate with personalities and how they'd say things, the way they'd say them, and whatever the case is, then I always say, then it moves from either good guesswork to, I don't know, maybe there's something to this, their communication thing. Because my thing is it's all one. And until you have your own experiences, whatever it might be, it's like, oh, that's lovely. That's nice. Okay, I haven't had that. Good for you, not for me. I don't know. And more people are starting to be left in their own life experience, feeling a lot more helpless than helpful. And a lot of times when they have that circumstance, because they're tuning into that channel, they'll tend to have a lot more things starting to happen to make them feel challenged or helpless or that type of thing. Like, how am I supposed to change it? I'm like, just for me, just change it and vibe it. Accept it as a reality already there. Because people don't always know how to manifest. I have a lot of clients, and some of them are very abundant, hundreds of millions and all that good stuff. And they're like, no, I'm very successful. I don't know what I want to do next. And my thing is, one, congratulations for even getting to that point. Two, if you don't know what you want to do, where you want to go, or what you want to be, then how do you want to feel from this next direction? Happy, fulfilled, empowered, abundant, what? Any of those. And just for me, a lot of people tend to associate feelings and emotions as the same thing. And I share the fact that no, yeah, exactly. That to me, they're not. Emotions are happy and sad and certain and uncertain. Feelings are grasping emotions, potential outcomes, experiences, vibrational patterns of energy. Because I always share that when somebody says this, they usually say it like this: I feel happy, or I feel angry. They don't go, I happy. It's an acknowledgement, an ability, to me, a grasping of spiritual concepts, because those vibrational patterns on the soul knobs are what speak to us loudly. Those words, to me, are nothing but mere vibrational patterns on our ear knobs that we've trained ourselves to hear those particular patterns and apply that meaning. So with any other language, what does that mean? Same thing, different vibrational patterns on the ear knob. So it becomes the old adage, a rose by any other name is still a rose. Just a label, not the object of what it is, to me.
When you were talking about the what's this, different things there about, different people, different, actually you were talking about what I got out of it anyway. You're talking about different energies that people actually transmit.
Yeah, yes, it's all energies. Yes, yeah. That's why, hey, you got good vibes. Or, hey, I ain't getting good vibes with that. Really, it's vibrational patterns of energy. Yes.
Yep. And people don't realize that. I mean, if they get up in the morning, and I've said it to a couple of people and they've tried it and it worked. You get up in the morning, right? Get up with no thoughts. None. Zero.
Awesome.
Let the day teach you. Don't try to teach the day. If you try to teach the day may repel what you're doing.
You'll feel like you're working all the time.
That's right. That's right. Now, if you do it the other way and let the day teach you, now you're enjoying what is given to you, and you don't have to enjoy what you don't want that's given to you. But you don't feel any worse or better or anything else. I mean, it doesn't do anything to you, period.
See, that's unique, right. That's a unique approach that you're coming up with some insight to go, this is just one way of doing it. It's like, yeah, but now we see that action can get a reaction. What's the reaction for that particular action? In this case, that's that, be positive thinking. It's like, well, it's not just about that. It's about the vibrational pattern of success or happiness or fulfillment or whatever it is, because it's those vibrations that are always on. And it's those vibrational patterns of energy that also create energy of awareness, to me, in our mind, that we can start to communicate. Because everyone is a psychic medium. It is the gift that few choose and everyone has. It's the point of they need to get, if they're even open for it, they need to get more comfortable with using these spiritual gifts. Is that what they call it? Spiritual stuff? And I'm like, yeah, that thing. And so when they can put, whatever, I'm always very playful. For some reason, it's a big thing for me to always remain humble. I am no better. I am no worse. I'm just going to do me. And for me, to have an ego about what I do is like everyone can do it. What the flag nog? Why? For me, I choose to work in this capacity. It's not only what I do, it's who I am. I don't know if anything different. That's all I can be. But now looking back on my life experience with my life experience circumstances of what, oh, now I see why this did or didn't happen to get me to this point. Now it's the catalyst of consciousness to go, okay, that's where I come from. Here's where I'm at. And if I want to go anywhere, I'm going to quit seeing it in front of me. I'm going to be it already. And people are like, you don't do anything. I'm like, well, that vibrational pattern alone is what's working to co-create realities with others.
That's like, that reminds me of someone who wrote me on an email about one of the shows, and she had said to me, it was a woman about maybe 40, 50 years old, in between that ballpark, because I could tell by the writing. What was going on was, she turns around and she says, well, send me a picture of you. I said, wait a minute, did you see the video? It's like, hey, there I am. She goes, don't you have like a still picture or anything? So I sent the still picture over to her. And I said, we'll send one back, the other way. Let's go right to the end of that conversation. I say to her, I said, look, I said, what you're trying to do is you're trying to interact with me through the pictures. Whereas if you'd like, just get on Skype. And I said, we can see each other and talk. I said, face to face works a lot better than trying to text anybody. And that is what is taking over, I would say, a good 60, 70% of the people walking around with a phone in their hand.
That's the point. As crazy as it is, I always say the very technology that is bringing the world together is separating us.
Right. That's it. Yeah. The separation part. Because people are getting pissed off because they're talking to all these people. But who doesn't, there was a guy on one of the things one time who was texting me on here. And he says to me, well, about a bank. It was about a bank shot on a pool table. I haven't done it in years, but I remember what I did. So I'm telling this guy the whole story and everything else. He says, really, he said, that would be so different if you could show me. I said, well, I can't show you from there. So I said, hop on a plane, let's go. Like the guy's in California, right? I'm in Florida. Yeah, hop on a plane. Come on over. I'll show you. That's what all this tech stuff is doing for people. Now, there's probably someone local that you could ask the exact same question to, but get an on-site answer. People don't look. I'm serious. It's worse than Oz.
Some people don't want to look because they're afraid of what they might find.
Nobody looks behind his curtain. It's like, hey. And it's like the phones more or less took the personal understanding of each other.
And the connection. It was weird. I share the fact that I guess a few years ago, they had the GPS thing where it was the characters poking. I don't know. Pardon my ignorance, whatever those were. And there was a time during that where I was up at the store in Phoenix, in this case, and it was a mall, and it was freaking weird. There was probably about 100 people walking around. Nobody was talking to anybody else. I'm like, that's a weird vibe. That I just for me, that's why I always taught my boys, because these kids nowadays stand in front of each other and text. And my thing is that they're standing in front of you, you talk with them, not just to them, and don't bring out that phone unless you're going to make a phone call to connect with somebody. And they were very genuine. They never did. They never did that. It was huge. All we can do is be the example going, here's what I did and here's how it turned out. But when they can see the end result, in this case for me, I'm dad, but when they can see to go, no, what you do I know is real, okay. However, all right, maybe I just needed to hear that way. Because I've heard that crap 1,000 times, but click, that's the first time I'm going to see it that way. And depending on who is sharing those words of wisdom to a certain extent, is what and how you'll be most receptive of. Mm-hmm. More than likely, if your daddy was talking with you right now, you'd probably be listening very strongly.
Very much. Oh, yeah.
It's not just one way, it's two ways anymore.
That's another thing too. And that when we're talking about dimensions, how about the one where like people listen. See, like that's one that's like
quantum level that there actually is that you and others, if you choose to tap in, that they are listening.
Mm-hmm.
If you can go to that quantum level, and I call it quantum blending, but start picking up those qualities, those characteristics of other yous and other lifetimes. Because my thing is that stuff is freaking real. Like I said, when I had that experience in the apartment where I saw another me, I'm like, I have no idea how that just freaking happened, except that I have no choice but to go. I just experienced it. I don't understand it. Because it was fascinating for me to, like, I'm looking at you. I was literally physically looking at another me. It was identical in the age and I guess the physical appearance, but that other me was only wearing shorts. That's it. No shirt, no socks, no shoes, nothing. And sitting there drying a dish looking at me. And I was like, what the frig is going on? Because everything's spiritual, and I've been doing this my whole life, but you start having those kinds of experiences, you're not always knowing how to incorporate that into your life of awareness kind of thing.
But it's real.
Oh, that's the thing. That's why I always say, hey, you don't even have to listen to me. I'm sure there's nothing. Yeah, here's what happened for me. Here's what this dynamic is. And that's, that's all I say is that's all I can speak about is myself. That's it.
Yeah, by the way, if anybody wants to call in, the number is 609-663-0153. It's been all over Facebook all day.
Yes, you are amazing with what you do and the way you do things. Thank you, Bob.
All the things, there's like two different ways in that of listening. There's right now, I'm looking at a chat room that obviously nobody's using, but you can. There's also a telephone here.
Kind of like life in our spiritual gifts. Everyone can do it, just not everyone does.
Well, the fax number is 863-222-4199. You can also text. So we have a chat room up, text up, phone live.
Look at all of these different avenues to bring people together to get this connection. Do you really think the universe isn't doing that for us? Hey, alignment.
Here, wait a minute. Here's the different. I consider it kind of weird anyway. I couldn't do this without the universe. Now, just think about it, really, seriously. I mean, it's like when you get to a certain level in your life, be it age, be it anything. I mean, let's face it. I mean, there's 40-year-olds that are still going a little. So hey, but like when you get to a certain level in that, things start shutting down. Not shutting down. It's just like you forget, like you just don't want to deal with them and things. But then there's the other side when you were raised, lived, whatever, in an age where people just came in, things came into you all the time. You learned, you observed, you were a walking sponge in a sense. And that's what puts me where this is right now and doesn't bug me. Anybody else in that would be going, there's 5 computers up, there's phones, there's the whole 9 yards. And it's all working at the same time beautifully.
Now, like the
universe. What's going on in my life? Help me.
People, but again, the good thing is just look at all these tools of connection, yet you're not having to do this. Is if they choose to, here's a place for you to kind of come into, if you would like. If not, certainly don't. Yep. But the good thing is they're starting to realize, oh, maybe it's what I make of it. Oh, I thought life was happening to me rather than realizing it's happening because of me. So again, just for myself, that awareness of the self-empowerment of self-realization, you go, you are creating it. Those who talk about lack are living it. Those who talk about abundance are living it. And you don't see successful people going around saying they're a failure. No luck, no coincidence. It is precision on the universe's part. And sometimes people just need to know, okay, you know what, if you're in your position, in this case, Bob, I love what you're doing. So what is that spiritual stuff you're talking about? What's that? They're not going to ask you that unless they have a good vibe about it. That a lot of times is huge.
Like for you to explain spirituality, put it that way, spirituality, for you to explain it, being a person who does what you do, it's very simple and people will believe it because it's coming from a person who deals with it.
And that's why I love these scientific studies as it moves from the airy fairy and go, yeah, it's all spiritual and it's all love, to go, well, let's put this scientific methodology to the test. We get something, maybe there's something to it. That's what I want to be, is the practicality of spirituality. Because then it moves from, oh, he said it, to he said it and I did my homework and I checked it out. And apparently, in this case, there's something along those lines that I wasn't even aware of. And it just, so his words became the catalyst of consciousness for me to want to understand something either more solidly or differently. Mm-hmm. And it's their own choice of self-empowerment and realization.
But then you get those people on the other side. The ones that are like, you do. Like somebody asked me, like, what do you do on the radio? So I told them. I mean, we go in, boy, I tell you, we're one of the other channels to go in a billion different directions. But the idea of the thing is, no one can tell me that, oh, well, I haven't heard of that. I never heard of that. I never saw that. Oh, really? Oh, really? You get that from somebody and say, listen, you can go to this show. There's white lions. You can go to this show. There's a guy in India that makes sapphires and polishes them and makes religious things out of all these things. You got a guy in Russia that tells me all about the way they're really treated. You've got senators that come on our show. You've got people now who save people from suicides.
Look at the reach that you have. You're just being you. You're just being you. Yet you can have a variety of different facets to that empowerment of just being you. And as the host, you've created your own network. You're not made to, you're allowed to. And who's got the empowerment of communication? You. Mm-hmm. If I choose to say something, I can. Doesn't mean anyone has to listen, but I've got my own avenue of communication and realization. And sometimes people just need to know it's okay to even speak about this spiritual stuff.
Well, don't forget now, originally, and we're talking about when you and I first met, and that's all the way back in Charleston, South Carolina, long time ago. And, it was more or less, I wanted to get into, the reason I joined that network at the time was I wanted to get into a situation that were outside of I was coming off the being a vice president of a mortgage company. But before that, I was a musician for 39 years. So you want to go back to your roots, but you don't want somebody to tell you what to do with your roots. And there were two radio stations that loved my voice. They said, "Oh man, you got a great voice and had a great attitude on the radio, and that we could really, really, really use you." And these would pay, paid gigs. But the idea was you had rules and regulations, and you had all these things you could do, you can't say, you don't do this, forget about it. The rule in radio is
do's and don'ts of communication. Yes.
That's why I wonder many, many, many times how companies like CNN even stay on the line. It's like, I have no idea. But however they do, it's got to be money that keeps them there. But the idea of the thing is, when I had the opportunity to get on internet radio, that was a whole different thing. I could bring in people who talked about everything from growing vegetables to when they were born and how they were born. I had a woman to come on that she heard what her father said. I think I told you the story once. She heard what her father had said while driving to the hospital in the car because her mother was she was losing the baby, losing the soul. Wound up, they did whatever they did. She went back home and she lost the baby in the shower. And the baby, whatever was left of it, went down the drain. And this person knew the whole trip. And she was a soul, and she wanted to go back to that mother from where she was. She told me all about if you want to talk about fairy whatever, all of it was there. I mean, she knew where she was somewhere else. She knew she was a soul, shimmering, she called it. And, she knew the whole 9 yards. And her guide, she called him, said, "Okay, you have a chance, but it's a choice. Do you really want to go back?" And she said, yes. Her mother then had her that was on my show and told me this whole story about how it happened and where she was and everything else. I mean, these are the kind of people that I wanted to get on to. And, it's like on regular radio, you can't do that.
So it sounds like
radio,
your first step was to build an area where people could come and join together and possibly be themselves to share it.
Right.
From one person's perspective, notice how you might be giving just through this, in this case, this beautiful show, that other people can have a conversation and it's not just only one subject. What if that's the versatility of communication? Go, if you even want to speak to this person, you can. It's always, you're allowed to, you're not made to. And when people can see that people like you it's not been easy for you, but you know what? You're talented, you're creative, and also you created this network in a way that gives you a little bit more freedom to communicate something. Is that what you're talking about? And be like, yeah, whatever you want to say. But when they can see that firsthand and hear it sometimes to go, they're not being made to. If anything, Bob's a great guy and he's just having a nice conversation, but it seems to be, whoever that other person is vibing with that communication. And in this way, is going to tune into that channel that Bob's already on because he's the one who it's coming from. And then
and people should not forget the plain fact that it's not just them listening to this video or listening to us now live, right now live, or don't have the ability to communicate with us in one way or another. It is the plain fact that we are now being beamed out to through the internet to over 140 countries. Anybody in any country, anywhere that gets on Streamer or they get on TuneIn, they can pick us up. And both of those, Streamer and TuneIn, touch anything, not everything, anything. They can pick us up at the North Pole.
Also, there's no limit.
See?
So the universe, there is no limit, but what we perceive there to be.
Yeah, we want to, like what I'm starting Now Talk soon.
Yes, good.
Come up in it and I'm going to invite anybody. I mean, I have a whole list of people who go to my shows. I'm just going to go right down the mail. Hey, you want to come on? Come on. It's like anybody can say anything. I mean, I tell them to keep it as clean as they can. anything that they want to about anybody they want to, and get into a conversation, not a fight. I won't allow that, but a conversation about anything. There's so many things. There's trillions and trillions of things going on this planet right now. Two people. Love, as I said, and yourself, is a big one with me. I mean, it's something that is like number one of everything else. There are at this time, even women, guys, the whole nine yards. There's very, very, very few. I mean, it's like maybe 12%. I think somebody on the thing that said 9, but I don't think it's that bad. But I think it's about 12% that want to come up, meet somebody, get together with somebody, and eventually either marry or just be a domestic partner or whatever. They want that type of life. Then you got the other side that wants to say hello to you tonight, say goodbye tomorrow morning. I mean, that's just the way it is. Is it love? Maybe. Could it be? Probably. This is the kind of things that we want to come into the show. The people who are looking for answers, the people that are looking for feelings.
See, they just need to know that there's even answers.
Yeah, well, there are. You know what? If you get a show, if it really, really comes off the ground, and I even have it on GoFundMe.
Awesome.
That for the thing, because I really, really wanted to start a leg of it in the morning.
Excellent.
And it's going to take money to do it. I mean, you can't do it. I mean, it just doesn't work unless you can pay for all the things that you need to do it with. But
or someone else.
You get me for free, so hey. I'm not worth any.
And right, we're here to help because we choose to, because we can. And if we can help even just one person on this planet, we've done a great job. Oh yeah, who are we going to start with first? Hi, I'm Jamie. I'm no longer a hypocrite. I'll always be of service to others, and I keep myself included. Because I share the fact there's not everyone knows how to help the one who helps everyone else. In this case, they're like, Bob, if there's anything I could do, I'm here for you. They mean it, still know how to help you.
Yeah. It's just like anything else now. Like you and I are probably, the same somewhere. But I mean, we have opportunities and we also have opinions. An opinion is based on fact. People don't get it through their thick head. They think that opinions are lies. No, they're not. They're based on truth. Now, if you can't verify where the truth came from, then you have an opinion. You know what I mean? It's like, hey, he said, they said, she said, et cetera, et cetera. And you go through that kind of chain, in a sense. When we come to, as I said before, about the love and everything else, it's all a chain. It all works its way through. If you love your wife, I have someone here, and that I like. I mean, you could say that.
Notice the reference of love and the life that we give it. Well, it brings relationships, it brings friendships, familyship, work, all of these different things. And love is the main channel that it plays on.
But you don't know it.
That's the point. You are made to do nothing and allowed to do everything. The universe is going, you have to tell me. It's like, man, if you even know I'm here, great, because I am you. You are me. It's just a reflection to me.
You know what? I mean, I'm going to say that you can correct me if I'm wrong, but love is one soul touching the other one on the shoulder and saying, "Hey, how you doing?" That's exactly what it is.
And that's one aspect of love.
But it wants your attention.
And you're willing to give it. That's the point. You're not made to. You're allowed to.
But you don't get off your seat and everything else and have to say, "I'm going to give it." You know what I mean? It's either there or it isn't.
Well, and that's the thing. A lot of people are looking for love. They don't realize it's all within. You're only giving it the power of self-realization. Go, oh, they love me. I love them. It's a good feeling. It ties in. But okay, here's love.
I'll do you one better. Love is love. All right. Okay. Let's take that part. However, when it comes to that feeling of love and everything, it's not only there already. It's whether you want to take it in, allow it in.
Ways of loving, right? From I love food to I love my life to I love my wife, I love my animals, I love my kids. I love my country. There are many. It's the same love vibration, just as we perceive it, different ways of seeing it.
There you go back to the dimension. See where we started in the first place. It's all that. Yeah. I mean, I love to do 360 shows, but really, when you look at it all, I mean, what we've been talking about are dimensions. They not only live in our life, or where we are, or the space we occupy, or the time of the day, or the day of the week, or the week of the month. I mean, all of these things. It doesn't work that way. These things just come and go. Do you accept them? Maybe. Do you not? Maybe.
Notice you have the free will to decide what you accept and what you don't.
Exactly.
It's huge. And it's good. It's a good thing to have your own identity, your own awareness, not through an ego that you're better than anyone, because to me, we're all equal. The droplets in the ocean are all equal. It's just for me. It's just that different level.
Don't call me a drip. I know that joke.
I'm like, oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But the good thing is look, on this communication, the very network that you've wanted to maybe bring other people to share and express, you're able to do a variety of different shows on the one channel, in this case for the show, but it's also you have other shows. Oh, you're creating more too. Oh, wow, how lucky. Really, is it? Or do we now have an avenue to go, well, if I have an idea, then I have the ability to maybe put it to the test. In this case, play a show about our radio show.
A lot of people that they just like, for instance, like you and I have been together for years.
Yeah.
But a lot of places don't do that. They'll have somebody as a guest once in a while, or they'll be on for a month or something, and that's radio does work that way in a sense. But I call what we do educative radio. This is something that we're giving to the listener.
And what's their investment? Energy. That's it. Time. Just attention. Hey, what do you got to say? What is that thing you're saying? That way they've got a reference. They
Maybe,
need to get it.
maybe in the beginning I should turn around and say, I need your attention.
But the good thing is you get their attention without having to force it. You just are it.
Yeah.
And we get something that they're interested in. Oh, you know what? That's because not everyone likes the exact same thing. To me, that they just don't. There's a variety of other likes and dislikes of how we perceive people, circumstances, life experiences, all those kinds of dynamics. And when people can have their own way of referencing what feels good for them or what doesn't, kind of thing, it gives them more of a clarity to go, oh, when something makes me feel like that, it's usually not a good thing. When something feels like this, it's a good thing. Now they're getting the reference of when something feels like that, it's usually playing out like that. Then they can allow it because there's no fear. It's, oh, I understand. I love that candy, or I love that food, or, or whatever the case is. They're easy to just share it out there. Just people need to know that there's even an avenue to connect with, to communicate, to experience.
Just like let's go back a little bit even further. Like your mother and my mother, if we were to talk to them right now, they would be very, very endearing people for us. They would love the hell out of us from wherever they are. My mother was the kind of person that, like, there is a right and there's a wrong. My mother wasn't the middle kind of person. She wasn't wishy-washy or anything else. You were either right or wrong. If you were wrong, she'd tell you why you were wrong and then smack you.
And notice, through the love for your mom, she's got her own personality and characteristics. It doesn't have to only be one way. It's like, oh, that's mom or dad or, whatever the case is. Oh, I love them. It's an automatic, usually an automatic acceptance. And when they can see someone who can fit that spiritual stuff into your life, okay, so how are you doing? Because, we've got, in some way, we've got to fit this spiritual stuff into our lives. And if we can't, we start feeling like a nut job and an outsider. They're like, oh, it's a beautiful day today. On the inside, we're like, woohoo, right in those waves of consciousness. Just people need to know it's okay to feel however it is they feel. Doesn't make it easy. But if they can give themselves permission to do the best they can with where they're at, what they're aware of, and to keep going. Because it's not always clear sailing.
What's your word for the day?
Love. Awareness of oneness, of others, of my life experience, of me, of whatever. There is no limit. It's whatever you follow it up with. I love what? It can be anything. And it's accepted because you're now on that channel of love. So what is it a reference to? Love, positive thing usually, that we enjoy experiencing because love feels good. Really, it's an energy, yet we allow it to allow ourselves to feel that energy that feels good or doesn't, whatever the case is.
No, you got that right, because I've had a whole bunch of people that I told him, and you know this story. Go into the bathroom, look in the mirror, and say, I love you. Look in your eyes. Don't look around the room, look behind you or anything else. Look in the eyes. Convince yourself. But you only have to say it once. And then if you feel it, you know you did the right thing.
And that's the point. What you give solid experience to, then it is that. It's all information. It's now what do we want to choose to connect with one way or another. That hopefully we love it, so we want it in our life experience. If it's not the most productive, a lot of times, I don't want to deal with that stuff. It's not feeling good. Also, so we have a reference, a kind of an alignment to go, if it feels a certain way, it feels good. If not, it isn't.
There's also something else in that that people who do what I said with the mirror, eventually they will literally change the way they feel about themselves. Change. I mean, you got me. I only know because I've done it. It's like I told you. The trees. I talk to trees. Am I stupid? No. They listen. They listen. If you hug a tree and you feel something, why? Because the tree is talking to you. The energy of the tree is taking to you and saying, "Hey, hello." People don't get it. But
that's the point. Nature is just itself. It's natural. Doesn't question. It just is it. Whether it's rain or wind or a calm, quiet day or whatever the case is, it's automatically a natural energy, in this case, nature. And it's not a human concept of I need to say it this way. It's I am every way. Here's rain. Do you want to stand in it? Do you want to be wearing an umbrella that keeps you out of it, but yet you're in it? Kind of, it's whatever the case is, whatever comfort that we can approach things with. And again, it's just the first step.
The funny part is one of the politicians in that last week had said, and if Diane was here, she'd tell you, because I mean I was almost yelling at the TV. The guy turned around and says, "All those tree huggers." And when I heard tree huggers, I was like, oh, baby, that was like the horns went up, one of those kind of things. I turned around and I said, you schmuck. If you hug a tree, you're more human than you are standing there telling us we're hugging trees. It was like, it drove me crazy. I mean, I wanted to crawl through the TV and smack him a couple times with the tree.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, listen. But it's, it's a crazy thing, but I mean, it's the absolute truth. I mean, it doesn't matter. Like, as you said, love, is an energy. Okay. So is the hug in the tree. It's not love. You're not going to make love to the tree.
Yes.
The tree's making love to you.
If I do this, if I hug it, I feel good. I feel love. And so what will we do? Because we've established a pattern on average that if I do a certain action that makes me feel good, I usually want to do that action again because I enjoy that feeling that I get. Oh, that feeling. So I feel a certain way. It's not I happy. It's I feel like I'm happy. I feel like I want to do this, or I don't feel like I want to do that.
I have a guy. I got to bring him back. You're gonna laugh. He's I'm not going to go into a lot about him or anything else that, but he's a man who goes around the world planting trees. He literally is. He has always. I mean, this is one of the things that he does. He's a very spiritual man, as far as what he does that with the trees and his crops and the whole 9 yards. He's there. One of those kind of things. He was the one that taught me how to hug a tree on the show.
First-hand experience.
Bare feet, because then you're grounded.
Yeah, exactly. And the more scientific methodology and studies they do, they're starting to find out, okay, maybe there's more than what we perceive there to be. Because now it's systematized and categorized and repeated. Okay, maybe there's something to that there tree hugging stuff. And when they see you, they're looking at you as the end result to go, ooh, okay, so if hugging trees is going to get me to feel like you, what do you got to say and how are you doing that? Because I wouldn't be asking you that if you were all messed up. How you doing it? It's like, no, it's the point. They need, in their own way, their own value point. That with which is good is in harmony. That with which isn't is bad. It's very relative.
I'll have to do it for another show. But, there was like a place that I told you about in Charleston. I used to take the dog out. I still do. Early in the morning, 3 o'clock, 3:30, 4 o'clock, probably in between 3 and 4 o'clock. We're out, we're walking. It's silent, everything is like really, really cool. You can look up in the air, you can see stars, oh my God. And you see all these things and everything else. And it was just one place that we used to walk in, that the trees' leaves moved.
Literally.
We walked, literally moved as we moved. Yeah. And I was like, I think I told you about it on one of the shows. I have to look back. But it was, you want to talk about hugging a tree? How about the tree looking at you?
It's right. It's open and receptive. Hey, if you want to hug me in here, I love you. I'm neutral.
Bing.
I am a tree.
We're all
naturally and right.
If you could X-ray a tree leaf and you put it on your hand, you would see the tree leaf glow.
Wow.
It's pure energy.
Give me just 2 minutes. I'll be right back.
Yeah.
I'll be right back.
I tell you something. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm not. This has been, God, it had to be maybe 6, 7, 8 years ago that I had told. No, it had to be more than that. Maybe 10 years, 12 years that I had told Jamie about the trees that actually turned. You'll notice that, like, if it rains, you see the leaves turn over. Like they show the back of the leaf instead of the top of the leaf. These particular leaves, we would walk by. It didn't happen every day, but I mean, once in a while. And we'd be in our own little thing. I mean, I do walking, meditation. I'm in my own space. I'm doing my thing. My mind's clear, and I'm taking on things. And as I walk by in that particular state of mind, that tree would actually, those leaves, you could hear them. I thought they were squirrels, but I figured squirrels ain't gonna come out at 3:30 in the morning and move a whole tree. But but
Crazy like you.
when your dog sits down and looks at the tree, you know there's something up.
They don't analyze, they
Yeah,
just feel it. Like,
they
oh,
just
that's
they
different.
just know. Yeah, and that's why I really got the first impression of that happening. And the second and third time it happened, I said hi to them. It was like, how you
Did you
doing?
get any kind of a response, any movement, any color, any light for anything?
It was too dark. I mean, it was like street lights on, but you could like see the trees, but you
So
could
even though
actually
it wasn't
you
completely
could see the
clear,
leaves.
you felt safe and comfortable enough to still have that perspective.
As I just told the people that are listening to the show, that when it rains, of course, you'll see the leaves turn over. They'll show you the bottom of the leaf. And the same thing happened here. They turned sideways. So that's how I knew that they moved, because they actually went from, they're just the hanging out way to this way. And then,
And once it gets real, you have that firsthand experience. That's when people, okay, so what's causing that? Why is that? At least for me, I love to question that stuff. That's why I love the scientific methodology, is when we can question things, put it to the test, and then get an end result, whatever it is scientifically. That's a little bit more than just someone saying it. It's scientific methodology. Okay, so what's that spiritual stuff you're talking about?
uh,
Open because they've got a solid safety net to go, okay, it's not just the airy fairy stuff. It's, I've done my own homework in this case, and I'm into that quantum physics and other things, and those scientific methodologies are kind of validating a lot of what you're sharing. You're like, oh, great. And the good thing is you're humble. You're just sharing. Why? Because you can, because you choose to. And it's that kind of connection to go, all of these realities are available for everyone. It's, does it vibe with you? Do you want to do it or not? That's why, to me, not everyone's the same. Not everyone has the same job, and not everyone has the same way of seeing it. It's individualized awareness. Each experience holds the value we place upon it.
well, at the time that happened, I didn't want to open my mouth and tell anybody. They probably think I was out of my mind, right? But at the time, I was like not as intelligent as I am now. I've learned. I've learned to accept.
So we realize, oh, so if you're acquiring knowledge now that you didn't even realize you weren't even aware of, what if that's a growth-seeking being?
Mm.
We're always growing into that. Whether you're aware of it or not, you're going to experience it.
But you have to allow it in. There are some people that like, screw you, it's like,
They
yeah,
shut it down.
right. There are so many. Look, somebody could be weird or mean or whatever, but there is always a learning curve somewhere.
Are you open to see and learn from it? Because that's, for me, I always playfully but genuinely say, I know that the more I know, I don't know nothing, man.
Right,
But
right.
share my perspective. And
Yep.
when we can be, because for me, we're always growth-seeking beings, no matter how many dreams, how many aspirations in life, once we attain them, we got more.
We are
Half the
so
fun
here.
is, yeah, but half the
And
fun is the journey getting there, life experience. Just most people get frustrated. I'm waking up again. And I share the fact, if I can, just real quick, the last thing is I'll tell that person, I'll say, okay, if I were able to put $1 million into your account by this afternoon, would that maybe help out? Would that kind of lighten things up a little bit potentially? And they're like, yeah. Like, okay, so if I were able to put $10 million into your account by tomorrow afternoon, but if you take that money, you will not wake up again on this planet. And usually it's like, no, I don't want to do that. And my response is, do you see how priceless waking up each and every day is?
right.
And they're like, oh, we just, so again, for the conduit of connection. If you got money, you got lots of them there, pieces of paper, or in this case, starting to go online, everything. But then you've got this amount. So people need a reference. They need, what does that mean? What is that level of? What's rich? What's wealthy? What's mediocre? It's all of those levels of consciousness. All the same energy, money, vibration, just different aspects and ways of seeing it and possibly experiencing it.
We are out of here. However,
Always good.
the next time, Annette, I don't know how we're going to do this, but we're going to market the pants off this. We got to get the people back here. I think what I might do, is put you on the Skype meetup and give everybody Skype addresses so they can all come in.
That would be awesome. Let me know. Look at that. Look at the creativity. You've got a tool
at all.
Knowledge. Exactly.
Doesn't change you. The only thing you have to do is, when I do that, you have to call me.
Okay. Just let me know.
Although I'm going to see if I can do this a different way. But I mean, I know a little bit about it, a little bit that they don't know.
See, and what if that's the potential? If we have some insight about a particular circumstance or dynamic or way of doing things, that if we choose to, we can share, hey, here's how I do it. Just sometimes people need to know that there's a different way of doing things. That, oh, I thought it was the only one way. And I thought that if you give yourself love and compassion, that's narcissism. And I'm like, I cannot give what I do not have. It, to me, is spiritual realization, self-realization, not negation. And when people can realize, okay, life's not happening to me, it's happening because of me. Because what's weird is I was thinking about that stuff, and just shortly after it happened, I'm like, what if you were creating a conscious, in this case, revolution, a new way of seeing things? Just most people approach this new way with the old pattern, the old thought patterns. And then a lot of times wonder, why aren't things changing? Well, keep seeing it the same way, more than likely it's going to reflect the same way. You change it, it'll change.
That's a good way to think.
Yeah, and that's why I share the fact. I'll give people, here's everything I do. I create those future memories and all that. And they don't have to listen, but it works for me. If I can help you, at least if you're even open, here's maybe a different way of doing it. Not the only way, but a different way.
This is what I'm going to do. Everybody that's listening to the video, if they pick it up, it'll be on Rumble and it'll be on YouTube.
Excellent.
So, Dan, if you can't find it, don't even go there. It's just look under, put it in search, Pyramid One Radio. Bingo, you'll be there. So you'll see my face and smiley, but all that kind of stuff. But anyway, meanwhile, back at the ranch, if anybody has any questions, there will be, or there is, an address on there that you can write to bobcharlesshow@live.com. If you do have anything to say or comment, put it in. If you have a question, put it in. If you have a statement, put it in. I don't care what it is. Email us, because anything that I have, I'm going to pass over to Jamie, and then Jamie can go, what'd you send that for?
There's different avenues of communication, whether it's an email, a letter, a phone call. It's just a different modality to use the very same dynamic of what we're trying to get, which is communication.
Right. And so many people that try to get in touch with me on 863-222-4199, but I keep telling people it's a text line. Duh. It rings, yes, but when I pick it up, you go bye. So it's a text line, so you have to text to me on that line. And you can get me anywhere. Yes, I'm just like you. I have no brains upstairs. I carry around a phone. Yeah. I always get the phone in my pocket. I don't know why I do that, but so many people that do tell me, I called you and you didn't pick up the phone. And I said, that's because I don't answer it.
Very good. But
that's why I got voicemail. Yeah.
That one form of communication, in this case, the phone, that billions of people can use that one form of communication and communicate. They just needed an avenue, a way to express.
That and 500,000 marketers.
Yeah, huh? Yeah.
Boy, oh boy, oh boy. All right. We're kind of sort of out of here. But you know what? I tell you something. People have been saying that our talk shows, and that they couldn't put them down. They had to keep on listening because we change gears faster than they do. But you know what? To everybody out there, you know what I always say. God bless y'all. Bob Charles. Out.